be ready to leave. Things can change. You see the weather forecast coming up for the rest of the week. Winds, higher temperatures, things can change quickly.
A warning from Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles after delivering some good news today. People may be able to return home, but the danger is still high and conditions could still change. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10. I'm Mark Hanrahan. 2 destructive wildfires have been burning in Spokane County since Friday, burning more than 20,000 acres combined, all while taking dozens of homes and disrupting countless lives. The Oregon Road Fire is currently the largest fire in Washington, burning more than 11,000 acres with no containment. Meanwhile, the Gray Fire burning in Medical Lake has scorched some 10,000 acres. But today we have learned it is now 25% contained. And just hours ago, some relief. Most evacuations for the Gray Fire have been lowered to level 2. And that means as of 4 this afternoon, everyone evacuated, with the exception of about 30 homes, could finally return home. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk was in Medical Lake tonight, and he reports.
It is a good day that we get to allow more residents back into their homes.
Cars started trickling into town this evening 4 days after the Gray Fire ripped through parts of Medical Lake, destroying 259 structures. Some areas are still smoldering.
This is a time to go into the area if you have to. Check on the status of your residents. Make sure that you get things taken care of. But again, be ready to leave. Things can change.
We were at the corner of Stanley and Evergreen Friday night. This is what it looks like today. Some homes are gone, some are just fine, and others are somewhere in between.
We really appreciate the community being patient as we worked around the clock to make this happen. It's our community too. We have firefighters with properties inside that perimeter as well. We have firefighters who've lost their homes as well.
The cleanup has barely even started. There's still power lines to repair and debris to clear. Spokane County leaders say they have already started to look on the recovery side.
I just want to say my heart goes out to all of you.
Commissioner Mary Cooney says state and federal partners are coming to the table. The county has declared a state of emergency.
Today we were just talking about how do we have help with property tax relief for those people that their property values now have been diminished. And so we're looking at that. We're looking at what is the assistance that we can provide the Red Cross as people are trying to get out of the shelter and need to figure out how to get into some permanent housing.
In Medical Lake, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
We also learned from the sheriff today that a deputy and a Spokane police detective arrested a man and a woman in the evacuation zone for burglary. He says they were from Tacoma and were dressed as firefighters when they caught them. And he adds, based on what they saw in their car, he believes they burglarized several properties. They are now in jail tonight, expected to have their first court appearance tomorrow. We'll have an update as we learn more. We are continuing to track this fire and bring you the very latest updates, but you have been directly impacted or want to access information firsthand. There will be a public information meeting on the Gray Fire tomorrow night. Community members are invited to learn the latest updates at Medical Lake High School in the auditorium. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. We'll also have a crew at that meeting, so if you can't make it, tune into KREM 2 News for the latest details. All right, let's turn to weather now. Today's rain offered some much needed relief for those fighting the fires. It also helped clean up our smoky air a bit. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for more on what's in store for our forecast. Jeremy?
Well, Mark, I think the biggest thing over the course of, say, the next 12 to 15 hours is going to be these numbers, your dew point and your relative humidity. 53 is our dew point. Relative humidity sits at 81%. That's an incredibly saturated atmosphere, and that is a big deal. That all comes from our rain that we picked up a bit earlier. And some incredible rainfall totals in the past, say, 48 hours. You run it all the way back to yesterday or Monday morning when some of the rain started in Idaho. Sandpoint, about an inch of rain, pretty incredible. Up near Deer Park, about a ½ inch of rain. And when you get to, say, Elk or the location of the Oregon Road Fire, about 4/10 of an inch of rain, ½ an inch for Moses Lake area, or Medical Lake area, and most of that moisture kind of working its way out. When it comes to the rest of the, say, next couple of days, we get a bit of wind tomorrow. Air quality does continue to improve, but we wind up seeing a little more smoke in the days to come. We'll talk all of this coming up in the full forecast, but just know the rain does make a big difference.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. I'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. And now to a special edition of our Night Beat with a quick look at today's top wildfire stories. Just hours ago, we learned more about just how many buildings and homes have been lost in the Oregon road fire. One of those properties had been in the Hunt family for several generations. Now this is all that is left of their property, originally bought back in the 60s. The family continued to build on that property, and eventually their children and grandchildren spread out across the acreage. All of their homes were destroyed Friday in the first hours of the fire.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before. It's just, I don't know that I have words just to see everything gone. All of my family's life. My grandpa built his house, he built the sawmill, he built the planer, he built tractors. All of what he has worked hard for his whole life is gone.
Luckily, no one was hurt and all family members were able to evacuate. They say that fire sparked just 2 or 3 miles from their property. There are hundreds of other families out there also displaced by the fire, and tonight a Spokane boutique owner is hoping to help. The owner of Fofo's Boutique is offering clothes and shoes free of charge.
I want them to come into my store and find what they need that will get them through the next couple of days. It's heartbreaking, and there have been many people coming in just really distraught. So I want to help in any way that I can.
You can find Fofo's Boutique on Northwest Boulevard. It is down the street from Audubon Park. Meantime, Washington's Attorney General Bob Ferguson is warning state business owners not to take advantage of fire victims by price gouging. He says his office will be on the lookout for price increases on essential goods. Violations of Washington's Consumer Protection Act carry a maximum civil penalty of $7,500 per violation. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone. In other news, Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward facing backlash tonight after attending a far-right religious rally with disgraced former state rep Matt Shea. Woodward claims she didn't know that Shea would be there, but now Shea says that's not true. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk reports.
Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward sharing a stage and a hug with former state rep Matt Shea. 2 videos of Shea praying over Woodward and her re-election have been viewed more than 300,000 times. The Let Us Worship event was held inside the podium Sunday evening. Today, Woodward released a statement saying she does not accept any support from Shea and called his political views a threat to our democracy. The mayor also said she regrets her public appearance with him and claims she was not aware Shea would be at the event. Woodward claims she was invited to pray for fire victims and the community. However, Matt Shea said this is an annual event planned months ago to worship Jesus. It wasn't for fire victims. Shea goes on to say the mayor accepted the invitation before the fire started on Friday. Former state representative Matt Shea, who was expelled by House Republicans after an investigation claimed that he participated in an act of domestic terrorism against the United States. Shea also came under fire in 2018 after releasing a document called The Biblical Basis for Warfare. The document explained how to create a holy army and the instruction to kill all males who do not yield. On Twitter, mayoral candidate Lisa Brown said, quote, "The mayor should be disavowing Matt Shea, an anti-woman, anti-LGBTQ extremist associated with political violence. Instead, she is on stage with him while fires rage in our county." Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.